Happening now, Georgia State Elections Board is meeting ahead of a looming July 1st deadline that could make counting votes with the state's current system illegal.
Atlanta News First, Sarah Hammond is live in Dawsonville. So, Sarah, the possibility of a special session or paper ballots were a major point of the meeting this morning. How did we get here?
Well, you know, July 1st is the deadline to ban the QR codes used to count ballots, but lawmakers ended the legislative session before passing any sort of replacement method for that. So it's something that has the state elections board members concerned, as well as the dozens of people who have signed up to speak at this meeting throughout the morning. And many of those speakers advocated for paper ballots as the replacement option. Many remarked that Governor Brian Kemp should call lawmakers back for a special session to resolve this. Others called on the state elections board to provide guidance to counties themselves. In a letter sent to the state elections board last night, Republican Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, who's running for governor, is asking the board to implement the backup paper ballot system to conduct the 2026 general elections. And some board members here say the state is facing a potential crisis come July 1st if no decision is made.
I know the election directors in the state carry a huge burden right now. We have 159 counties that are wondering, what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? Where are we going to get the people to do it?
And now they're in a lunch break right now, but this meeting is likely going to continue throughout the afternoon. But as this meeting began, much was made about a late cancellation by State Elections Director Blake Evans, who was scheduled to speak at this meeting this morning. But the Secretary of State's office says that his focus right now is on the upcoming May primaries. Live here in Dawsonville, Sarah Hammond, Atlanta News First.